What's up, motorists, and welcome back to another episode of mReview, where today we are looking at the latest generation of Audi's best-selling SUV, the Q5. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get notified of all our future uploads. So this is the third generation of the Audi Q5, and the new Q5 is the first SUV to be built on Audi's PPC, Premium Platform Combustion. So it shares the same kind of platform as the Audi A5 that we looked at earlier in the year. So let me clear some things up before we get started on this review. There are 6 variants of the new Q5 family available in Singapore right now. And they are divided into 2 categories, the Q5 SUV as well as the Q5 Sportback. So for the Q5 SUV, you've got the Q5 Advance, which is not a quattro model. Then you've got the Q5 Quattro, and then the SQ5 Quattro. Now for the Q5 Sportback, we have the Q5 Sportback S-Line Quattro, which is this. Then we have the Q5 Sportback Edition 1 Quattro. And then we have the SQ5 Sportback Quattro. You got all of that? I know it's a lot, but this car that we are looking at today is the SQ5 S-Line Quattro Sportback. So what do you get for your money with the new Q5 range? Well, of course, you get your Matrix LED headlights as standard. Audi love their lighting technology, and it's no different here in the new Q5 range. You also have, of course, the 2D, more minimalistic digital style logo that you can find on all modern Audis. And of course, this being the S-Line package of the Q5 Sportback, you get more pronounced and much more aggressive front aero, as well as some more sporty looking front trim. Now, on the new Q5 range, you also have, under the hood, we find a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged powertrain with mild hybrid assistance. So total power output is about 204 horsepower and 340 Newton meters of torque. Now, this being a quattro model, power is sent to all 4 wheels through a 7-speed S-tronic dual-clutch gearbox, which runs great, and you'll hear more about later on in the video. So moving on to the side now, and we're going to start with the rims. So these are the standard 20-inch rims in their standard design. There are a couple of other options that are available, which are also all 20-inch in size. And then we have, of course, the rest of the car with your keyless entry and exit, very easy. And then here, of course, you can see the Sportback design of this, the Q5 Sportback. On the Q5 SUV, well, it'd be a much more conventional SUV boxy shape. Now, I personally prefer the Sportback look because it looks a bit sleeker, even though I sacrifice just a little bit on cargo space. So now moving on to the back of the car, these are the lights that you get as standard, but Audi does have an optional digital OLED rear light option that you can fit to your car, which makes, of course, the lights brighter, look a bit cooler, and you can say you have OLED lights in the back of your Audi, which I think is a pretty neat trick. Then, of course, we have your boot space. It's going to be electric, of course. The whir open the boot lid. And then here we find 515 liters of storage capacity, which is actually only 5 liters less than in the conventional SUV style Q5. And that is, of course, plenty of space for me to sit back here and have a chat with you. And if I needed more space, I can always lower the rear seats down flat to give me space all the way through the car. We are now in the back seats of the Q5. And first things first, I have a good amount of knee room. I've got plenty of headroom, even though this is the Q5 Sportback. But one thing is to be noted, because this is, of course, a combustion vehicle with a gearbox and quattro all-wheel drive, there is quite a hump in the central tunnel here. So whoever's sitting in the middle seat will have to straddle the hump a little bit. But it's okay because we have 2 aircon vents back here, which can nicely cool your legs. Above the aircon vents, there are 2 USB Type-C charging ports, as well as your aircon controls, so you can adjust how cool you want your legs. Now, for the passengers on the side, it is much more comfortable. You have your nice leather-wrapped seats, and you can sit here, and if you had option for the panoramic roof, you could look out at the stars through that. If not, you can just sit here, listen to the music, and of course, with your handy-dandy armrest and cup holder situation, you can have a drink and relax in the back of your Q5. Oh, and before I forget, when you are relaxing, of course, what do you want? Privacy. And the Q5 comes with privacy screens on the windows, which I think is a very underrated feature to have included as standard on any premium car. So now here we are in the front seats, and there's a lot to go through. So I'm going to go from right to left. Ready? Let's go. So here on the right side, like we saw in some of the other new Audi models this year, we have this cluster of switches here for things like your lighting controls, your door locks, your mirror adjustments, your memory seats, all on the door panel instead. Now usually this is down here by the right of the steering wheel, but now they've moved it all to the door panel and it's all within very easy access. Now we come over to the steering wheel. Now on the SQ5 you do get a flat top and a flat bottom for, of course, that sports style. But on this, the normal Q5 or Q5 Sportback, you have this nice big normal circular steering wheel, which is very nice and easy to hold with your multi-functions on the front. Now the functions here also adjust, of course, your 11.9-inch Audi virtual cockpit, which you can use to adjust and have a look at different information of your car, of your media, your navigation and whatnot. And one thing I really like about Audi's virtual cockpit is that it includes your Apple CarPlay's navigation, which this car does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and it includes your navigation on an app like, say, Waze, right into the virtual cockpit. So you can have your CarPlay display here on something else entirely, and you can have your navigation in here, which is great. Now, speaking of this main screen, this is 14.5 inches of MMI touchscreen display. It's huge, it's curved towards the driver, it's very HD, it's very responsive, and it has, of course, all of the car features like aircon, fan speed, all your vehicle settings and whatnot. All of that is adjusted through the screen. And speaking of screens, we also have an optional passenger display that your passenger can use to adjust things like your media controls or navigation. Now, around the car, you can see the ambient lighting. Now this, in this car, is ambient lighting plus. There's an ambient lighting pro package that comes with the Q5 Edition 1 variant, and I don't know what extra stuff it's going to give you, but this lighting is already very cool, so I'm sure whatever they have in ambient lighting pro is going to be even cooler. Now we have, of course, your physical aircon vents, which I am very thankful for. You can't be too sure these days with the way cars are going that you're going to get physical aircon vents, but thankfully they are here on this car. We've got your volume controls, we have your drive modes, hazard light, traction control. Then we have your 2 USB Type-C charging ports, so we've got 4 total in this car. Then we have, of course, your wireless charging pad, which is ventilated, very nice. Drive selector switch, cup holders, and in here, center cubby storage. Whew! That was a mouthful. So all I'm going to do now is get this out on the road and see how she drives. So the new Q5, I think, let me start by saying just how good of a feeling it is to know that there is development being actively put into making new ICE cars, new internal combustion engine cars, of course. And not too long ago we thought, oh no, all of combustion is going away. But as it turned out, it seemed to be a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, and we've got countries and governments and car makers all over the world kind of backtracking on the all-electric promise. Now don't get me wrong, I've driven many an electric car and there are quite a few that I really do quite enjoy. But I do very much enjoy having an engine, and it is a good feeling to know that there is development being put, there's investment being put into the combustion platform. Still, Audi have come up with the premium platform combustion. It's an all-new platform, they've got new engines, and you can tell they're not just phoning it in either. This car has more power than the old Q5. It's got a revamped exterior, it's got a refreshed interior, and Audi have taken all of their engineering, car making know-how and put it into the Q5 to come up with yet another very premium feeling product. And you can feel it in things like, well, of course, the way it drives. There's a real creaminess to the way the power comes in. And this actually, because it is a mild hybrid, one of the really interesting bits about it is that despite it not being a full hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, just a mild hybrid, but it is capable of doing limited and light driving and maneuvering on full electric power. So I've come to notice that in things like parking or setting off from a traffic light, there is a brief period where it is powered by electricity alone, which is of course better for your emissions and better for your fuel consumption. Official claim figures are at about 12.8 kilometers per litre. Now in my testing, with a lot of idling and a lot of trundling around and some heavy-footed action, well, I've managed to average around 11.5, so it's not far off. If you drive a bit more mindfully, you could very easily hit 12 and above. I think I haven't done that much highway driving. And speaking of highway driving, of course, because it's an Audi, because it's German, this is very comfortable at speed. It's nicely insulated, the ride is comfortable, it's well damped, and the car never feels out of breath. It never feels like you're kind of forcing it to be up there, which is of course very useful for when you're doing long drives up north or even further up north. Now, one of the things people have always said about Audis, and I have said myself about certain Audi models, is that it can feel a bit business-like, a bit dull, without personality. But I think Audi are definitely trying. You can see it in the way they kind of add features to their cars. So for example, like the ambient lighting I talked about earlier, that's a nice bit of character. You also have nice personalizable little tricks and bits that you can do, like with the new Matrix LED headlights, and if you had the OLED tail lights as well, you can of course do the digital light signature customization. Now there are a couple of options in the screen, and you can go through those and choose which digital light signature you like the best to, of course, kind of just customize and personalize your car, which I think is just a neat little touch from Audi to make it seem like, hey, this is more than just, a vehicle. This is your car, you can make it yours. And I like having that little extra human touch in the car. But of course, being Audi, being German, it still has to be at the forefront of the tech space, of the safety space, and Audi Q5 is no different. I still have all of my Audi pre-sense safety systems. I've got all the driver assistance systems. I've got my adaptive cruise control, which makes it very easy to drive this car in heavy traffic, which of course we get a lot of in Singapore. And of course, quattro all-wheel drive. Who doesn't love quattro all-wheel drive? We've got the racing heritage from that. Now, I know this is a big SUV and it's very far from what the original Audi Quattro did, but still, it gives you that sense of confidence to drive your car with a peace of mind, especially on days like today where it's not very nice on the weather side. So once again, Audi have shown that they haven't forgotten anything about making a good premium combustion engine in an SUV format. No, I think the new generation of Q5 is going to be just as much of a bestseller as the previous two. Thank you very much for watching this episode of mReview. As always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.